Welcome back to HissyFit, Pet Therapy and Rescue Channel. And this is a sub-series called Reading with Reptiles. And making her debut on this channel is Jubilee. She is a wild type corn snake.
No, she's not pure wild type.
Well, she has a little secret. So yeah, on the outside, this is what you'll pretty much see in the wild. But she does have a secret, like Adriel says. And in the next video, you'll see the secret. We'll tell you all about it. But she's not going to give up her secrets today, are you? Are you, Jubilee? Nah. So, Jubilee is a sweet snake, and she's actually due to a very long dream that I've had since I was in high school of owning a corn snake just like her. And I finally got to a place where I could have her, and she is, well, she's worth the wait. I love this girl so much. She is so sweet and so pretty and just very easily handled, and she's explorative, and yeah, I love this girl very, very much. And we actually got her from a wonderful corn breeder and delightful human being and friend, Dawn Soderberg from South Mountain Reptiles, who actually discovered some morphs of corn snakes that we will be introducing later and may have something to do with her secret. And why, you may ask, does this lovely little lady have the name of corn snake? Well, her secrets on that is in her underbelly. See those almost looks like Minecraft pixelated little blocks? Well, they reminded some people of corn, ears of corn. Well, the kernels,
Yeah.
on the ears of corn. Some people also think they may have been called corn snakes because the farmers thought that the corn snakes were after their crop.
That makes sense. Snakes are notorious vegetarians.
Very much, yes. They're yeah. And of course now we know they were not after the corn. They were after the mice and the rats who were after the corn. So farmers have learned, hopefully, that these are actually very useful to have around. No, look at you. All of a sudden she just started sitting up and saying, wait, what? What's going on? Look at her.
She's adorable.
Oh my gosh, I love this girl. So yeah, corn snakes. And of course she's completely non-venomous. If you see one of these guys or gals, let them be. They are nothing but helpful and useful to have around. They don't hurt anybody, they only help. So welcome to Reading with Reptiles, Jubilee. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're excited to hear Chapter 2 of The Wind Witch by Adriel Anderson and Kimber Dillon. We are very excited for you to continue Callie's journey. So without further ado, Adriel reading Chapter 2 of The Wind Witch.
Chapter 2, The Water Witch. Callie walked out of her family home after sunrise in the direction of her best friend's homestead to the west, swinging her basket that held a small trowel, an empty cup, and a large, colorful swath of fabric in which a potato, fresh from nestling in the colts, was wrapped safely inside. It was a fine day in late summer, and Callie was feeling all the hope of a plentiful upcoming harvest. The gentle wind blew the grasses in waves reminiscent of the ocean, as the clouds above followed in kindred sympathy. She soon spotted a bigger home than her own, nestled atop a sloping knob, standing above the rest of the plains. She spotted a young woman bending to remove roots from the ground. "Daria!" The young woman stood up, smiled, and waved. When Kali closed the distance between them, Daria pointed to the ground in front of her and said, "I have found lots of ginseng root in this area." "Old and worm-eaten, tasting like wood?" Kali teased. Daria rolled her eyes with a grin. "That was the pasture north of here. Dreadful things, not worth the digging up of them. These are young, but not too young. You will see. That stretch of land had lovely wild rue seeds," Kali replied. "And yarrow," Daria said brightly. "Such a pretty little flower, and a tasty tea as well. Wonderful for the treatment of flatulence," Kali exclaimed. "No wonder the villagers are demanding it from your mother," laughed Daria. "She has enough yarrow for now," Kali said. "She now orders ginseng." "The devil's shrub? What for?" asked Daria. "Calms the nerves," Kali answered. "Can also give energy to the lazy." "Sounds like Natasha could use some," Daria said with a raise of her eyebrows. "Her mother would never need my mother's remedies," Kali said, finding a likely spot and grabbing her trowel from her basket. Daria dropped to her knees and began digging the ground in earnest. "Maybe she doesn't come to your mother for healing concoctions because she tries to make her own. But there is good reason the village goes to your mother, although usually in secret." "Mother has a great gift for healing," Kali said almost wistfully. "What is it your grandfather used to do?" Daria asked, struggling to pull the stubborn root from the soil to which it clung. "Wash the fire out of burns," Kali said. She dearly loved that story and had often requested the telling of it by her mother as a child. "Do you know, I never quite understood what that meant," Daria replied. Kali's eyes danced in merriment as she explained. "He spat on it." Daria looked up curiously while her hands remained busily occupied with her task. "Wait, what?" "Well, technically he'd spit on his hand and rubbed it on the burn or a hot rash, and the redness would disappear before their eyes, and the pain and itch with it," Kali said with awe in her voice. "A water witch," whispered Daria. Kali quickly looked up into the face of her friend, concern burgeoning in her heart. She had spoken with too much impulse and was now regretting it. They had been friends since they were children, and she usually felt justified in her trust in Daria. But some things were never whispered outside of one's own heart, no matter how close the friend. She quickly let the worry drop from her expression and laughed heartily. "Legend tells of great water witches calling forth great waves to quench towns by the sea. I can see them now, rolling their eyes at being compared to an old man spitting." "But the pain, you said it disappeared right away?" Daria protested, not unkindly. Kali quickly unscrambled her thoughts. "He probably chewed up some calendula flower, which is more efficacious when moistened, and spat in his hand before applying it like a poultice to the burn," Kali stated with growing confidence, remembering she had wondered before if the childhood story could be explained in this way. Daria nodded. "That makes sense. Your grandfather was probably as good as your mother at finding the best herbs and roots and things to make the very best medicines. Think of how quickly she healed me of the fever." Kali nodded encouragingly, letting out a small sigh of relief. The last thing she wanted to do was mislead her friend, but the consequences of their wider community, thinking her mother was an actual witch, was very dire indeed. She very well could meet the same horrid fiery fate as her grandfather. To comfort herself, Kali began whistling a gentle tune to accompany her work. As her soft song was carried on the breeze blowing across her lips, the ginseng root Kali had been working to free came silkily out in her hand. Daria looked at her friend in exasperation. "Really? I've been digging and pulling and digging for how long, and you just come up and..." Suddenly Daria was interrupted as she was flung flat on her back. "Oof! Are you okay?" Kali asked, moving over to her friend. As soon as Daria's face came into view directly below her, Kali realized to her relief that her friend was laughing so hard she could hardly catch her breath. What happened? Kali asked. Not being able to speak in her mirth, Daria simply raised one hand, showing the offending root which had propelled her backwards with momentous force. Kali reached out her hand in offering and began to lift Daria up to her feet. Why are you consorting with such lowly filth? A drawling and perpetually bored voice startled the two girls so abruptly, Kali accidentally let go of Daria's hand, causing the young woman to pull soundly upon her rump. Oof! Daria exclaimed, her green eyes wide as she looked up at the looming figure which had quietly come upon them. Natasha, both girls said in unison. The thin, dark-haired girl crossed her arms as she took in the scene before her. She only made eye contact with Daria, ignoring Kali completely, as if she was unfit to even be acknowledged to exist. Associate with dirt, and that's where you end up, covered in dirt, Natasha said in her quiet, pointed way, as she raised her eyebrows in judgmental ire. Kali helped Daria once again off the ground, this time grasping both hands firmly until her friend was solidly on both feet. What do you want, Natasha? To see if the rumors are true. You, your little brothers, and your parents sailed to America in a week? Natasha drawled. What does it matter to you if we are? Daria said. Natasha shrugged. Doesn't matter to me one little bit, she replied. Mother will go to your Uncle Avros as usual for her linen, oil, and paper. Daria glared at her, hands on her hips. Then why are you here? Natasha began to prowl slowly around the pair as she glanced sideways, angular chin up, eyeing them from her greater height. Merely to scratch an itch. Daria rolled her eyes. Go away. Natasha reached out a delicate index finger and thumb and gingerly grasped a bit of Daria's now soiled apron as she looked disdainfully upon the offending cloth before releasing it, curling her lips. Not until my curiosity is satisfied, Daria Flax. Tell me, little girl, going to the primitive land of America? Daria scratched her palm as if actually itching for a fight with her one-time friend, who was, incidentally, only about a year older than her. Kali gave her a pointed look, and Daria took the hint, drawing in a deep breath to steady herself. As she exhaled, Daria replied, Yes. Now go home, Natasha Bratz. Replied Natasha, still casually circling Kali and Daria. Taking any pets with you on the long voyage? Daria sighed. Boris stays to help on the farm, she said of the family dog. Something like a smirk appeared on the face of the older girl. I refer to nothing so useful as a dog, she said indolently, glancing down her eyelashes towards Kali. Why, you... Daria started forward towards Natasha, hands curled into fists. Before Daria could reach Natasha, however, Kali slipped between them. I am going to America with them, she informed Natasha, staring unwaveringly at the averted gaze of the daughter of their local family doctor. Did Kali imagine a slight falter in Natasha's step? A light of hope dawned briefly in her nearly black eyes. Ah, I see, Natasha replied. And indeed, Kali thought she must have imagined the reaction of the girl who hated her so much. The Flex family outgrows its prosperous land, so it seems. Your uncle and aunt, with their own brood to look after, tire of your company, so you are forced to, how do they say, seek your dubious fortune elsewhere? Daria stepped out from behind Kali and confronted Natasha directly. As you say, so it seems. Would you care to stay and join us in harvesting ginseng, Miss Rach? Kali's mother would very much appreciate your labor to her valuable medicinal crafting, she said with overly cheerful politeness, meant pointedly to grate on the nerves of the hearer. I'd rather be dangled from the ceiling by my toenails, Natasha parried. She then looked directly into Daria's eyes, her eyes sharp and intense for the briefest of moments. Write to me often, will you, Daria Flax? I shall need the kindling for our fire. With a laugh at the glowering Daria, the tall, masculine young woman made her way back towards the home of her parents. When she faded from their view, Daria let out a long-held breath. Sweet Mother Russia, preserve us, Daria exclaimed. I thought she'd never leave. Callie relaxed, smiling slightly. Those roots are not going to unearth themselves, my friend. The young woman fell back into their work, filling their baskets and easing back into their easy banter. End chapter 2.
Yay!
The Wind Witch by Kimber Dillon and Adriel Anderson. Because I get the billing right.
What did you think, Jubilee? Did you like it? Jubilee is also named Jubilee because we're going with brands of corn. And Jubilee is definitely a type of corn.
Also an X-Man.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Explain the other part of our pattern of naming corn snakes.
So, Kim was FAA. She knows corn. I am a inveterate nerd from who grew up on 80s and 90s cartoons. So she knew about Jubilee corn. I knew about Jubilee the X-Men. So now we combine types of corn with cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes, other fictional characters. And it entertains us.
We hope it entertains you. We actually get a lot of feedback about the snake that you're going to see in the next video, which is actually going to be part of another series under HissyFit, which is Wild Psychology. And you're going to be meeting Colonel Flint. Kernel, Flint. Flint is a type of corn.
Colonel is a part of corn.
And
Colonel Flint is in G.I. Joe. Like I said, 80s and 90s cartoons.
we really hope you have enjoyed this installment of The Wind Witch. A very special thanks to all of our wonderful beta readers who also happen to be also extremely attractive people. And you see them listed here. We're getting a lot of great feedback from them, and we really appreciate all the effort they're putting into reading this and giving invaluable feedback.
And I would like to say, on the attractive note, that if I may draw from a famous radio personality from a future that has never happened, I would like to say that we have, in our opinion, the most attractive audience in the entirety of the internet.
With really fabulous noses.
Mr. New Vegas would be proud.
It's not weird.
It's not weird.
Mr. New Vegas, a Fallout reference. Oh, I love Fallout. So, at any rate, I want to shout out at least once per video someone who has inspired me and actually inspires Adriel greatly, and that is Clint from Clint's
Reptiles on YouTube.
And we love him. He is fabulous.
If you are not familiar with the channel Clint's Reptiles, become so. That is a recommendation. He is brilliant, entertaining, and cool.
Yes! And please, it helps us so much if you like, subscribe, comment, and put in the watch hours, because our mission here at HissyFit is actually to get monetized on YouTube, start a Patreon page, so that we can start a reptile rescue, especially focusing on of course, reptiles. And my mission as a licensed professional counselor is to rehabilitate these animals and get them matched up with people who are in need of emotional support companionship. So yeah, that's our mission. And if you share it, share this video, share the channel, it would help with that mission a great deal.
And if you are a rescue who already does rehabilitation for reptiles, let us know so that we can share your information on our channel. And
that's a great idea.
Help you get some of those animals adopted, hopefully with people who need them.
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually developing an assessment so that there's some good, solid reasoning on matching up a particular animal with a particular person in need of an ESA. As always, please be your own safe place.
And don't throw a hissy fit.
Say bye, Jubilee.